Hey, what's up guys, my name is Charlie. Today we're going to be reacting to some more Nostalgia Critic, and it's going to be old versus new Spider-Man movies. Oh boy, the evil Peter Parker dance comes to mind. Yeah, that was totally awesome. I know, before you throw the tomatoes, you're thinking, what the hell are you talking about, Charlie? That was the worst scene I've ever seen in a Spider-Man movie. Oh, come on, it was totally cool. I mean, it's something I would have done if I just sort of bought myself a new suit or bought myself a brand new Rolex or something like that. I would have totally gone diggy with that. Diggy. Christ, who uses that word anymore? Yeah. I've seen all these Spider-Man movies, and I just have to say the Tobey Maguire is perhaps my favorite Spider-Man. However, Tom Holland is also my favorite. It's like Tobey Maguire versus Tom Holland, and I can't choose because, you know, they're just so great, both of them. But then there was like Andrew Garfield or something like that. Not the movie Garfield. Oh God, no, no, Andrew Garfield. I mean, I didn't enjoy him as much, unfortunately. I believe he was in that Mel Gibson film, Hacksaw Ridge or something like that. I think he did great in that. But he was my least favorite Spider-Man, and it kind of sucks to say that. But yeah, Tobey Maguire and Tom Holland are perhaps my two top favorite Spider-Man guys out there. So yeah, let's check out the video, shall we? Let's go. Oh boy. Oh, hi Mark.
Why so glum, Critic?
It's this hyper fangirl from the last review. She asked me out on a date, I said no, and now she's doing that Facebook thing where she writes down these very vague, miserable messages, but then asks people not to ask her about it.
My life is hell. Don't ask why.
2 minutes later.
There is no hope for humanity. Don't ask why.
1 minute later.
I am the saddest and loneliest person who has no friends to ask her about her problems. Don't ask why.
Well, why don't you just unfriend her?
Oscar.
I
Just
can't
why
do
ask
that.
why?
She's a fan. That means somewhere there's a glimmer of brilliance trying to get out.
Well, as a popular holdover from the last review, I recommend either a compromise or caramelizing her until her
Use
insides
this
are
fucking
stretchy and
Facebook.
sweet.
Well, maybe there's something
Me.
to be said about that.
I don't use it. I use it as a supportive
Maybe there's
channel.
something to be said about compromising.
Yeah, Facebook is
I'm gonna
dead.
contact her. You
I
don't
prefer
destroy
Twitter.
anything.
Twitter's a
I
good
make
way
no
of...
promises.
Yeah, Facebook is... I
You
hate
are a
Facebook.
whiny and pathetic little loser. Don't ask why.
Hello.
Is that you, my hipster love?
What was it, The Matrix?
Second, I'm doing an old versus new of the Spider-Man movies. I heard you were a Spider-Man fan.
I may have dabbled.
Reload. Is that the cartoon Matrix? I can't see.
Both movie series were a huge hit, bringing in a brand new audience to enjoy the web-slinging Spider-Man himself. But
yes.
as you would expect, audiences seem to be very split on which series is actually the better Spider-Man series. Which one had the better story, which one had the better action, which one had the better villains, and of course, which one had the better Spider-Man.
Well, Tobey
I would
Maguire
invite you
is...
along to be a part of it, but we
what
all
we
know
grew
the new
up
Spider-Man
with.
films are better, so I guess there's no purpose.
Tom
Whoa,
Holland's
wait a minute.
got a more
the new
modern
ones aren't
touch
better.
to it.
The old ones blow the new ones out of the water.
Oh, come on, with Thierry Maguire?
Oh, I'm sorry. He did overstay his welcome, like that whopping 2 minutes of the rhino.
Maybe there is a bit to talk about with these Spider-Man movies. What do you say we go over it together as friends? And no getting super obsessed over anything, got it?
Like you need to ask.
Well, no use in delaying the battle. This is fan versus fan in the newly restored old versus new.
Alright. The epic battle. Old versus new.
Now keep in mind, this is all opinion-based, and naturally there's
Everyone's
gonna be a ton of spoilers. Also keep in mind that we're
gonna get
gonna move
different
the order
favorites.
around a little bit. Seeing how the name of the movie is Spider-Man, it only makes sense to judge Spider-Man last.
Let's talk more spider.
With that said, let's take a look at story first.
Oh Christ, here we go. Judgment has arisen.
Now, it's pretty obvious that anyone who can take a story about a kid being stricken with super spider powers seriously deserves a lot of credit. But
Yeah,
both these
true.
films take very different approaches.
The original looks at it more from a comic book point of view, with over-the-top action, funky camera angles, and classic mad scientist stories.
Sadly, the dialogue is just as corny too, where the new version tries to
I
tackle
like the
the story
corniness.
more like a movie, with more realistic characters, a grittier tone, and a spy thriller edge.
But if it's based on a comic book, wouldn't you want it to be more like a comic?
But if you're turning it into a movie, wouldn't you want it to be more like a movie?
Didn't
This
they
is
do
where
that with
big
the
debate comes in. We know the
Spider
original has a lot of
multi-universe?
corny moments,
They made
but
the
you could
Spider
argue it's
multi-universe
part of the
thing.
classic comic book style,
That was
just
great.
Like the original
The
Superman
animation
movies
on that
were.
was incredible.
This is why you'd think it'd be obvious
love
that
that.
the original had a
Can't
more
remember what it was
complicated
called,
comic
Spider
book
Universe
story,
or something?
And the new one would keep it to a self-contained 2-hour flick. But no,
You know what
it's
I'm talking about.
surprisingly backwards. The original films are actually very easy to follow. Boy loves girl, gets powers and turns into a superhero,
Yep,
fights
same
off
generic
supervillains who
sort
most
of
of the time are his best friends.
storyline.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah, of
The
course.
new films, on the other
The
hand,
Uncle
have
Ben
all
speech.
of that, plus his parents disappeared when he was young.
Okay, fair enough.
They discover a biological miracle that could be used as a weapon.
Yeah, okay.
A plan is underway to
With
create
great
a
money
league of
comes great
supervillains,
Got it.
which results in 3 villains in one movie whose motivations all have to be started from the ground up.
Okay.
As well as
Christ.
axing off other characters who are just going to be replaced with new ones that'll take time to establish.
See your point.
Oh, it looks like Jameson and Black Cat haven't had
Andrew
much screen time
Garfield.
yet.
Okay, Christ and
version.
biscuits, I
I
get
didn't
it
like
already!
that. It was
Oh,
terrible.
and Ghost Leary.
Yes, for all the simple dialogue and hokey moments, the original Spider-Man films did always have a flowing 3-act structure. Even the third one that had 3 villains, each one still had established motivations and arcs. Hell, some of them even took the extra time to build their story arcs early. Harry starts off as an early villain in 3, but we had 2 movies prior showing exactly why. The second Amazing Spider-Man threw 3 new villains at us, all having to be established. That's way too much to throw in a movie and still be emotionally invested in all of them. The original still took time for every character, and yeah, a lot of it was silly, but it still allowed us time to make, at the very least, a little bit of a connection with all of them.
So does that mean?
Yes, as much as I hate to admit it, the original Spider-Man films did have a better understanding of a flowing narrative.
Woo!
Blame goes to the old.
Yeah.
We all win.
Oh, shut up!
Alright, I agree. Tobey Maguire, God bless you.
But what good is story in an action movie? To the Transformers films, nothing. This is best action.
Don't mention Transformers, don't you dare. It's blasphemy. Michael Bay is not welcome here. Oh, Christ.
Now this one is really tough as both movies have their high points and low points in terms of action. For example, the first time I saw Spider-Man hanging upside down, it was pretty cool to see. We've only seen that in drawings, and to see that pose physically come to life was
It's pretty
cool.
badass.
Also, a few moves incorporating his powers like this are always fun to see too. But the rest of the action was surprisingly underwhelming. The setups were good, like a parade with giant balloons and fighting to hold onto a giant car from a bridge, but they all looked a little too slow and, honestly, kind of phony. The CG was a little too rubbery at times,
I mean-
and a lot of these moves look more like a Disney stunt show than they
I
do
guess
an
at the
actual
time,
fight
the
going on.
movie
It
is
just didn't seem
sort
very
of old
fast, and it
now.
looked a little too rehearsed. With the newer films, the fighting is a lot more slick, blending in fast acrobatics with the speed of what
True.
CGI can do.
But
with that said, the
I don't-
setups were a little bit more mundane. A fight in the sewer is not a very riveting location.
I didn't
or
like-
a school for that matter. I mean, okay,
I didn't
cars
really
hanging
like
off
it.
of a bridge
I
is
don't know
pretty
why,
neat,
but it
didn't
felt too
we already
CGI.
do saving cars from a bridge already?
Wait, are you dismissing the incredible train chase in
Lord of the
Spider-Man 2?
Rings.
No, I was just getting to that.
Oh, good. I thought I was gonna have
Game
to
Boy
caramelize your
magazine.
insides until they're
It's
stretchy
Elf,
and sweet.
My
You
Little
know, I
Pony.
don't like how that's becoming a thing. The train sequence is where things got really good with the older movies. movies. Yeah, it's obviously CG, but the creativity and the speed and the way
You
each
kind of
moment
forget
build
about
on
the
top of one
CG.
another,
It's sort of
it's
you
just
sort
a
of
jolt.
adapt
I
to
felt
it.
like I needed a nap after seeing that scene. Even in Spider-Man 3, the fight sequences incorporated the CG with the actors much better. This way, when Harry and Peter are fighting each other, you don't see computer-generated puppets, you see Harry and Peter actually fighting each other. But I think what works a little better with the newer versions is that because the locations are kept so simple, it allows you to feel the urgency of every move.
I don't know, I felt like the new ones felt a
It's
little
like
bit
watching Jackie Chan as a web slinger. You just feel
more
the weight, but
fakey-ish
also
for
the
me.
speed of how he operates. When Spider-Man holds
Felt like
that
he was
car
just
on
fighting
the bridge
thin
in the
air.
first film, we don't really get a feeling of how heavy it is because they never really showed how strong his powers could be. At least not to that extent. With the new one, you feel how heavy everything is. It takes effort to hold that car, but not quite beyond his range. The slow-mo is also utilized much better. In the original, I never got why they slowed certain scenes down. Is watching him get hit just to hold onto the car again like we saw before really deserving of watching one more time so closely?
Just to
With
show
the new
him
one,
his
it's like watching a
epicness.
ninja Sherlock Holmes. You see a car flying towards him, one web shooter goes out, and his spider sense is picking up that others are going to be dead if they touch the rail.
Oh.
This needs to be slowed down because we need to see in a split second not only what the
Shooting
problem
his-
is, but how
his
he's
web.
going to get out
Oh,
of it,
boy.
making his recovery from it all the more impressive. I guess I just saw more of the effort and the technique with the new Spider-Man movies. Not that there was none with the original, but it's kind of like Indiana Jones. You constantly feel the sweat and tears going into all his moves. Where half the original just kind of looked like a Power Rangers episode. And on top of that, when this Spider-Man
Yeah,
is
I mean, it
around,
was-
you really feel like
It
you're
was more
swinging
cheap and
around with him.
gimmicky,
The
the
original just
older
kept it at a medium
Spider-Man,
shot,
but
always like you're
I'm
watching
cool
a
with
video
that,
game.
because I grew up with the
And seeing how
originals.
being a web slinger flying through
With,
the city was a big part of
Tobey
Spider-Man's
Maguire.
charm, that makes a big difference to get right too.
So it's much more
So,
easier to swallow.
close call, but I think I am gonna go with the new films for the better
Of
action.
course.
I'm still not convinced. Name one other moment that was better than the original.
The best Stan Lee cameo ever.
The-
Point goes to the new.
Oh, rest in peace, Stanley.
But action is only deserving if it's
Rest in
going to a
peace.
good purpose. Is there
Unfortunately,
anything
he
more
died.
evil than comic book villains?
Actual murderers?
And you made it weird. This is best villains.
You asked.
The best villains.
Again, in many respects, a tough choice. Apparently nobody is born into crime or just chooses crime anymore. They all come from experiments gone horribly wrong. Groundbreaking genius? Oh no, science! Owner of a booming profitable business? Oh no, science! Science, science, science. Science? Oh no, science! Most of these villains have a ton of time devoted to them. And they need to, seeing how most of them suffer from hammy Jekyll and Hyde-itis. Seriously, did we ever get one that didn't have a split personality?
Oh, what? You've never had the voices of a loved one mentally torture you inside?
No.
Oh. Well, neither have I.
Well, after 4 divorces,
Grandma.
you might.
The only one who seemed to get annoyingly sidelined in the original was Venom, who went from being one of the coolest jock badass villains of all time to that whiny 70s show kid asking Jesus if he could perform a hit for him. Yeah, I'm sure that's how it works.
I come before you today.
Jesus
to
works
ask
in
you for
mysterious
one
ways.
thing. I want you to kill Peter Parker.
Jesus.
Okay, but it's gonna cost you some Hail Marys.
You're
Whoa,
gonna
wait
be...
a minute. If you're talking about rushed, what
You're
about
really
Edward
asking
Electronigma?
our
His
dear
turn was
Lord
so
to
quick
kill
he could win
someone?
the Indy 500 with it.
Dear
Okay,
Lord, have
granted
mercy.
there wasn't as much time devoted to him because of all the other stuff in the movie, but you gotta admit, you've known a lot of weirdos in your time. I assume. And you know a lot of them probably do strange things on the turn of a dime.
But there's no time to show his change. He forcefully becomes obsessed with Spider-Man, forcefully becomes a supervillain, and forcefully decides he now hates Spider-Man. The other movies at least gave more of a progression.
He doesn't need much progression. He's just a weirdo.
Well, all weirdos have stories too.
Look, is it so hard to grasp that sometimes strange people just do strange things?
Hi, Heifer. How's it going? You got any new fan art? I'm working on a slash fiction between... Oh my god, is that the nostalgia critic?
Yes, Mac.
Hi, how you doing?
He said hi to me. I am instantly in love with you.
What?
What do you mean
what?
Are you doubting our connection?
I didn't say
That's
that.
it. From now on, you and me are enemies.
What?
There you go again with that word. What? You just better pray nothing powerfully bizarre happens to me.
Something powerfully bizarre happened to me.
Good God, what did you do?
I got bit by a lightning bug while I drank Red Bull. Now I'm all electric.
How the hell is that
dear
possible?
Lord.
I don't know. It's just science. Now I'm making pain.
Well, science.
It's
Don't you mean insolence?
that too.
There was a Game Boy back there.
Well, I don't know about you, but that made a bunch of sense to me.
Point taken.
Oh boy. Why do I have a feeling he's gonna shit all over Tobey Maguire? Why do I have a feeling?
Speaking of wasted villains, do I even need to bring up the Rhino in Amazing Spider-Man 2?
It does kind of
Yeah.
go without saying that the villain, as well as choosing great
I didn't
acting
like
giant
this.
Paul Giamatti to play him, was pretty much pointless.
Yeah.
I know, I'm sure they're building him up for another sequel where he'll be pushed to the side again for other villains, but by God, imagine you're Paul Giamatti and you've gotten the role in one of the Spider-Man movies, one of the biggest superhero franchises of all time. How would you react if you found out that you were only in it for a couple of moments?
Hey, Paul.
It's your favorite client.
Checking in on the Spider-Man role, huh?
So what's happening? There's still no word, huh?
I mean, I
Well,
enjoyed
actually,
the
there
movie
is.
Big Fat Liar.
Right.
That was what he
And?
was from, I
You're
believe.
playing one
And
of
many
the
other
main
movies,
villains,
of
the
course,
Rhino,
but he was in Big
only
Fat Liar,
exactly
so I
for
like that.
2
It was pretty good.
minutes. Isn't that great?
Yeah, that's not.
How's that?
But come on, the Lizard's got a lot of sympathy.
And he was
and
in
attention,
Shoot 'em
and
Up.
Harry Osborn's
He was great in
relationship
that
with
as well.
Peter was certainly given a good amount
Shoot
of
'em Up.
time. And both of them played their roles much more seriously than the goofiness of Defoe, Molina, and so on. All of the villains from the original were completely over the top.
All right, if you can answer this one question correctly, I'll admit defeat.
Okay.
Okay, shoot.
What is one line of dialogue any of the villains have in the new movies?
Ha! Easy. Hi, Spider-Man. I'm the Lizard. This is why Superman works alone.
Now, how about the old Spider-Man movies?
Okay.
Oh, sure. Follow the cold shiver down your spine. Peter Parker, smart but lazy. You knew this was coming, Pete. The itsy bitsy spider.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
The villains may be corny, but you remember everything about them.
Yeah,
You
true.
remember their plans, you remember their costumes, you remember their motivations.
Mm.
Because the new movies try to be
new
somewhat
movies,
more realistic,
they're
it can't
forgettable.
go all out, and therefore aren't as memorable. Even when they do go all out, it doesn't match the rest of the movie and comes off as kind of silly.
Yeah, as much as Harry seemed more messed up in the newer films, I do remember the conflict in the original ones much more. Even the birth of the Sandman. There's no line of dialogue in that scene, but you completely feel every bit of emotion because they let it play out. That's one of the greatest supervillain bursts I've ever seen in a movie. The newer films seem more concerned about squeezing in too much for building other sequels. Even though I do take them a little bit more seriously, I do find the old
Christ.
villains are just more colorful, threatening, interesting, and just all around more memorable.
All
Sure, a
right.
lot of it's kind of dumb, but that's part of the comic book style. It's kind of like watching a Tim Curry performance versus
Tim
a Henry
Curry.
Fonda performance. You know Henry Fonda is going to give a good performance and it's probably going to be better, but you also know that Curry is going to be much more entertaining and leave a much bigger impact on
Oh
you.
yeah.
And seeing how the villains play a big part in a comic book movie, it's probably best to side with the ones you remember the most.
Give it the point to Tobey Maguire
yeah,
movies.
as much as I hate to let something as goofy as this pass.
Tell me how! The heart, Osborn. First, we attack his heart.
I have to admit, it probably
Say the
is
old
more
classic
fitting
movies
than the
are better.
alternative. So yeah, I had to accept defeat. Point goes to the old.
Hey!
You make Grandma very happy. What?
USA! USA! Sorry. The old wins.
But every story needs a little bit of love.
Ooh, can I do the lead-in for this one?
No.
But I have the perfect love sonnet.
You said we would just do this as friends.
I promise it has nothing to do with anything.
Then why are you even saying it?
Please!
All right, go ahead.
Oh, dear lord. Alright, he's just smack him with a My Little Pony. Romantic lead. I'm not really bothered about
Why
the
don't
romanticness
you start
of
with
this.
the original?
Oh no, that'd be rude.
No, seriously, I want to hear you defend this one.
It's your
The
show.
old
You should
romantic
start.
one was a little
Please,
bit
you're the guest on the
quirky.
show. It
I
only
can't-
figures
you
that
have
you
the
should do it
jacket.
first.
Let's
I mean,
shove
come
these
on, you've always been so
pecs,
adamant
please. I
about
can't do
going
it.
in
Your
there first
glasses
and
are
showing
better
what's so
than
great about
mine.
Name one good thing about Mary Jane!
I can't.
She has pretty hair?
Mary Jane sucks!
Okay, yeah, she
Yeah.
does.
Okay,
Yeah.
to be fair, let's talk about some of the good things about her. She is supportive when she's not dicking Peter around.
Yeah.
Though, to be fair, he does it just as much to her as she does to him. She is given a bit of an interesting backstory with her coming from a broken home, and Kristen Dunst does everything in her power to make this an interesting character. But aside from that, she is a tool. She
Yeah,
is something for Peter
I gotta
Parker
give it
to
that.
chase. She's someone for him to save, someone to always be concerned
feel like
about,
it was
someone
very
to look at
weak.
him in awe, someone to always give him pity. In short, she's only there to make Spider-Man look good.
Yeah,
She's not
I
a
have to
character,
agree. God
She's a
damn it.
character's girlfriend. Someone to be appealing superhero arm candy. Someone to look pretty in Spider-Man's arms.
Now, to be fair, the comics have written her much better over the years and
course,
have given her
comics
a
are much
truly
better.
defined identity.
But the movies?
No, she still kind of sucks.
It's a bit like
It doesn't
Superman,
help
you
either
know.
that the romantic dialogue
as
given
she's
makes
always
it
being
practically
saved.
impossible for them to have any chemistry to begin with.
You're taller than you look.
I hunch.
Don't.
I'm benign.
stupid.
We belong together.
Also, the fact that she's dated every
How I
male
Met Your
character
Mother.
who got 2 seconds of screen time in these films. Seriously, who was this guy again?
My son, the astronaut.
Oh yeah, how can we forget what
The
impact
son,
that
the
guy
astronaut,
made?
of course.
In the new movies, we got Gwen Stacy, who, face facts, is just 10 million times more interesting. She's a science genius. She's got a good sense of humor.
Yeah,
she's
she's got
constantly helping Peter in
intelligence.
every way possible. And I mean, like, actually help. Not just cheering him on or saying you have my support, but actually coming up
You
with
have my
scientific
support.
reasonings to defeat the villains.
The antidote is cooking.
No. Connors is on the way.
You leave right now.
I'm gonna get everybody out.
Did you hear?
You
Oh.
mother Hubbard.
Remember the last time Mary
You
Jane
mother-
tried to help?
You know, nobody hangs up on Spider-Man.
On top of that, I'm just gonna say it. Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy, they're just fucking adorable.
This is the most cliched hiding place you could have chosen. This is the stupidest hiding place.
Take us to the Bahamas of hiding place.
I mean, I have no problem believing both these two are in love. Their chemistry is beyond precious. They made me use the word precious. That's
Yeah,
how good it is.
I gotta agree. You know,
Coming with me. Shut the thing. Sorry, I love you. Don't hate me.
It's a million times better than the forced romantic dialogue from the first.
yeah, the
You
first
saw her for the first
the-
time.
the
You
Tobey
grabbed me and
Maguire
said, Aunt May?
sort of love romance
an
was
angel?
pretty
And by
weak.
angel, you mean a lifeless statue who does nothing but looks pretty. The only time we see Mary Jane start to form her own character was in 3, when we see for once she needs support given to her instead of the other way around. But even then, that's done so much better in the newer films. She's off to Harvard, she has huge opportunities ahead of her, and if anything, Spider-Man is going to work around her schedule. In the old, we still gotta wait 2 movies before Mary Jane even figures out that he's Spider-Man.
I was in the neighborhood. I was in the neighborhood.
Oh, come on, he's not even disguising his voice. Will you get a clue?
Yeah.
This gives very little time for the relationship to
Superman
bloom
with
because they're
glasses
constantly
all over
going
again.
back
Just
and
put the
forth whether or
glasses
not
on.
they even want to be in a relationship. And that's no fun. We want to see them like each other. We want to see them get along. We want to see them go through actual relationship stuff. And in 3, we started to until we got that whole bullshit about Harry forcing him to break up, and bada bang, we're back to the same bullshit that we started
Yeah,
with before.
it was
I swear, if they
cliche
followed through and
terrible.
killed off the girlfriend at the bridge scene like they did in the comic, I wouldn't have given a crap in the original. But because of how likable their relationship is in the newer films, it's a legitimately sad departure.
but the original was much closer to how that scene should have worked.
Maybe in the conflict between Peter and the Goblin, but in the new one, they not only got the tragedy of losing somebody dear to you, but also of being so close to saving them, yet ultimately resulting in their destruction.
Yeah.
And to me, that's a much more tragic and heartbreaking angle. Why? Because she would have been interesting even if you took Spider-Man out of the equation. Mary Jane would not be.
But
what?
I gotta admit.
her hair's really pretty!
Point
I
goes
gotta
to the
admit.
new.
Yeah, point goes to the new. God damn it. I gotta agree. It was very weak.
It's all tied up and it comes down to the
Tobey
big one.
Maguire
Let's wrap
originals.
up old versus new Spider-Man with Best Spider-Man.
Now this one you know you have to give to Tobey Maguire. He's the perfect geeky, awkward teen of the original
Yeah, damn
comics.
right.
Really? Because I thought Andrew Garfield captured the confident, joking, smart-ass superhero of the original.
He's my least favorite. I mean, he was alright, but I kind of prefer
So
Tom Holland
maybe
over him.
neither of these captured Spider-Man.
Mostly because he's done more, more
Peter did
movies.
start off as a weak nerd who would suddenly
More
turn into
Spider-Man
the city's
movies, in a way.
greatest hero.
But after he turned, he became a cocky smart aleck spewing one-liners left and right. So somewhere in between these two, there's a perfect Spider-Man representation trying to get out. Do you lean more towards the sympathetic loser, or more with the triumphant badass? Now, to both their credit, each one has dabbled in the other persona. Maguire certainly has a few badass moments, and Garfield definitely has his socially awkward moments. Both have their disadvantages too. Maguire, for example, is given way too many crying scenes and way too many moments of him being a doofus.
Wait, are you against males crying in movies?
No, I'm not against males crying in a movie, but good God, he does it at fucking anything!
Yeah.
Hell, he cries more than Sally Field does, and that's the queen of criers!
Well, it's not like Garfield doesn't repeat a ton of cliches.
No, that's true too.
Sure.
Garfield's cockiness at times can get a little grating. I always wondered how many lives were constantly put in danger because he was too busy making
Look at that
jokes
butt.
to the rhino
Spider-Man's
rather than
ass.
stopping him from
In
running cars
HD.
over with his truck. But the big turning point for me is that despite them both capturing how hectic and stressful it can be doing what they're doing, Garfield is evolving into more of a man. Maguire isn't. Every time he takes one step forward, it seems like Maguire is
He's
taking
still
two steps
stuck,
back.
sort of
Between being Spider-Man, not Spider-Man, being with Mary Jane, not being with Mary Jane, being emotionally in control, letting his emotions make all its choices, and of course just...
Oh yes! Yeah! Woo! God
I never
yes.
felt he came all
God
that
yes,
far
I'm
by the
gonna
end of
do
the
that
series.
every time I buy a new
Garfield,
suit.
though making similar mistakes, seems
I'm sorry,
to
I
learn
love
more
that
and
scene.
more about
It should have
the
been the blooper
responsibilities
though.
of being a hero,
Should have
and
been
tries constantly to
at
put
the
them
end of
into
the credits.
practice. From
It shouldn't have
talking
been
a
actually
guy
in the
out of a
movie.
bad situation to trying to be there for his supportive aunt, he does it all without whining and without complaining. At least after he's Spider-Man. Both are allowed breathing room beforehand. But yeah, how many times have we heard Maguire bitch about something? There's a sense that Garfield will always confront a problem and try to figure it out, where Maguire seems constantly lost and having no idea which direction to turn. Garfield will just take any direction and somehow translate it into moving forward, making the best out of any situation. If he sees an opportunity for something to help someone or make himself better, he'll take it. It's not always the right choice, but at least he's committing to something. On top of that, Maguire is so quiet and so awkward, it's kind of hard to imagine him running around in an outfit like that.
Creepy
This guy is so
guy.
eccentric, so energized, and just a show-off that you can completely see him running around in a silly getup like this. He's kind of like a mad genius who's thinking of ideas a mile a minute and creating them even faster than he can mentally process them. Of course he'd do something this insane. It's like if Steve Jobs was a superhero or something.
Ooh, I think I have fan art of that.
I'll trust you. The only time he quits being Spider-Man is after Gwen's passing. And fair enough, anyone would be thrown off after something like that. With Maguire, it's just the stress of the job. And don't get me wrong, I can identify with that, but by comparison, you starting to see my point here? One quits being Spider-Man because his girlfriend died, the other one did it because it was just hard. Which one do you think is going the extra mile? Which one would you rather be?
Guess
Which
he was
one
tired
would
of
you
saving the
have
world.
Which one would you put the most faith in saving the day? Which one would you grow up reading a comic book saying, yeah, I want to be like this person when I grow up?
Yes, the scene. Woo! I love that scene, yeah.
Garf, the superior hero.
No!
Sorry, Hyper Fangirl, but this
I
Spider-Man
gotta-
is more interesting, more entertaining, and more thought-provoking.
Okay.
Point goes to the new,
All
which
right.
means that the all-around winner is the new Spider-Man series.
Oh, I'm fine with that, to be honest. Alright. He's got a point.
No! How can you possibly like the new better than the old?
Well, honestly, looking back at them again and in light of your commentary, it was actually much closer than I thought.
Really?
I used to think the newer films blew the original out of the water. But the more I look them over, the more I realize they both have a lot of advantages and disadvantages.
Yeah, they
Neither
both-
one of them are perfect representations
Compare 'em
of
both
the
together,
Spider-Man
they're-
stories, but they both come in their own unique
all got
way
their
to
unique
some
little
interesting
things.
interpretations. Some are for the best, some are for the worst. What I realize now
God.
about both of them is that they both tried their best to stay faithful to the material, but also tried to do things a little different while also being self-contained movies. It's hard to take an idea as silly as this and make it sell to a movie-going audience. But sure enough, we have two movie series that seem to have done just that. And both, in their own way, hit their own personal bullseyes. So, thanks again, Hyper Fangirl. You actually did open my eyes up to a few things, and I'm glad we could do this as mature friends.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad I could help.
Say hi to your, I don't know, grandmother, I guess.
Oh, I don't know what you mean.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay.
A friend. I guess that's all I'm supposed to be. A friend.
You listen here, Missy.
Oh,
no
dear God.
grandchild of mine is gonna give up that easily.
But he's my friend.
And I'm your fat grandma, and you must avenge me.
You're not even dead.
Mind your own business. Now you gonna go after that critic or not?
Oh,
Mirror,
Grandma, you
mirror
always
on
know
the
just
wall.
what to say.
Who's the prettiest
Less
of them all?
talking, more stalking.
Right.
What
The
the
heart,
hell?
honey child. First you start with the heart.
Bloody hell. What the hell am I watching? Alright, finally. But there's such a romance between the nostalgia critic and her. Christ.
And by the way, I am personally offended that I was not called in for this comic crossover.
Atop the fourth
Where's Fat
floor.
Grandma?
Who's Fat Grandma?
Oh, someone doing a Spider-Man review? You know the Raimi film sucked.
I hunch.
I hunch. Okay. Oh, there's more. Come on.
Guess what I got?
What?
That's right, a Twitter page. Well, okay, not me personally, but it only figures that thatguywiththeglasses.com should have its own Twitter page. For updates, website information, all that good stuff. So, no
Same
need to
here.
keep
I got a
looking. This
Twitter
is the
page
one
and a
to go to.
Facebook page.
And if you
Make
find
sure to
any
check 'em
others
out.
pretending to be me, imposter pussy pansies who want to be who I am so bad they can taste it.
I don't think anyone wants to be.
So go ahead and start following at this address and see how the social media forces me to join the collective.
Oh yes, the collective. Oh, the video's audio has been cut out due to copyright. Sorry about that. Nostalgia Critic cut out the audio. Yeah, it sucks every time I gotta watch one of these videos and the audio's cut out due to copyright. Goddamn YouTube. Well, it's not really YouTube, it's the YouTube corporations. It's these big companies like Sony and Paramount Pictures and companies like this that are very fucking strict. Yeah, and YouTube's got to enforce those policies and rules, unfortunately. Yeah, that was very interesting, very good. That was the old versus new Spider-Man movies. Obviously, it's the end of the video, and I gotta say, even though I don't sort of, I gotta agree. Okay, yeah, the new Spider-Man movies, you know, they can be much more superior than the originals. I don't deny that, of course. For me, but Tobey Maguire, the Spider-Man movies for me will always be my favorite, and the classic, the originals, something that always I will always love. Um, Andrew Garfield, you know, he was alright, but he's my least favorite. I kind of enjoy, I enjoy him. Get me wrong. It doesn't mean I don't enjoy him. I hate him. I think he's disgusting. I never want to watch his movies. No, he did pretty good with the Spider-Man, but you know, Tom Holland for me, I'm sure a lot of people might not enjoy, but I kind of find him more sort of modern, more funny, and I find him more amusing. I kind of, he's just funny. I really enjoy his performance every time he's in like a Marvel movie or something, whatever the hell it is. Like, you know, all those movies that he's coming out in the Spider universes and stuff. You know, it's pretty cool. I kind of like it. I like the way he acts and the comedy sort of way, and you know, Tony Stark and all that. You know, he's awesome. I just love him. But Andrew Garfield, he's alright as well. He's okay. But because we get to see more of Tom Holland, I'm sort of on saying, hey, Tom Holland's sort of the second best Spider-Man guy. The first is Tobey Maguire for me. Tobey Maguire is the first best Spider-Man. Second, Tom Holland. And the third, Andrew Garfield. Which I'm sure a lot of people disagree, because they'll probably say Andrew Garfield's the best Spider-Man. Or they'll say he's the second best. And yeah, okay, fine. That's for you, though. Everyone's different. Everyone's got different, different versions of what their favorite is. And for me, I will always love and enjoy the original classic Spider-Mans, which is by Tobey Maguire. I grew up watching those Spider-Man movies, and they will always be in my heart. But I have to agree, the new ones are more modern and up-to-date. That doesn't mean they're better. Both of them have their yin and yangs, advantages and disadvantages. So just watch all the Spider-Man movies and see what sticks. And that's the best thing to do, is just watch all the Spider-Man movies and just see what sticks. And that's how it goes. But yeah, it was a good comparison, so to speak. Good points. You know, the Tobey Maguire movies, you know, the Spider-Man, the romance was very weak. It was just felt like, you know, she was just thrown in there just to create some sort of like a trophy wife, you know. Hey, look at her, she's pretty. Woo! You know, sort of, it's kind of disappointing. But with the Andrew Garfield sort of Spider-Man, she was smart, she was intelligent, and you know, that sort of stands out. So yeah, different points, different factors, yada yada yada. But yeah, watch all the Spider-Man movies and see what sticks, because everyone's gonna have different favorites. You know, not everyone's gonna enjoy all the same Spider-Man movies. And the Tobey Maguire ones are a little bit outdated with the CGI and goofy and silly. But I like the character developments of the villains and all that, because I felt like I was more emotionally attached to the villains. With the new ones with Andrew Garfield, I felt like the villains were very forgettable. I just really didn't give a shit about them. All I feel was like, oh yay, fight. But yeah, let's end the video here. We're going on a rant here. But yeah, all the Spider-Man movies are good, okay? They're all good. They've all got their yin and yangs. They've all got their advantages and disadvantages and stuff like that. So just watch all the Spider-Mans and see what sticks for you. But yeah, let's end the video here. So if you like this video, make sure to give a like, comment down below, make sure to subscribe to my channel if you enjoy my content. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.